There are thousands of unsolved cases across the U.S. When investigators are in need of help, they often turn to one man. We talked to the father of forensic anthropology to learn about the science of bones. And he started his music career at a young age, writing and performing Christian music. Now this native Oklahoman has found a different place for himself in the industry, what he hopes to achieve with his latest songs. Plus a romantic dinner for two. Guys, we have simple, inexpensive meal ideas that are sure to please your special someone. And finally, two pop icons get together to show off their moves on the dance floor. What happens when one unusual duo steps it up? It's all coming up next on News OK TV. This is News OK TV.
This is News OK TV.
Welcome to News OK TV, where NewsOK.com comes to your living room television. I'm Angie Bruss. Dave Morris is taking some very needed time off. Authorities continued their search for Asia Johnson. The 7-year-old has been missing for nearly a month. Investigators say relatives found Asia's mother, Tanya Leanne Hobbs' body inside her trailer home. Detectives believe Hobbs' estranged husband, Lester William Hobbs, is responsible for the death and AJ's disappearance. There have been no sightings of AJ Johnson or Lester Hobbs since their disappearance on January 24th. However, AJ's father, JJ Johnson, is still holding out hope that his little girl will return.
Oh boy, she's just a happy little go-lucky girl, like any 7-year-old girl, you know. She's just real curious, just wanting to learn everything. Every time you turn around, she'd want you to show her what you're doing, how you're doing it, and why you're doing it. She's very outgoing. She just loved life. I'd walk through the house and she'd always be behind me. I'd turn around and almost fall over her most of the time, you know. She'd be so close to following me around, you know. And I really miss that. I just miss her so bad. The joy she would bring, you know, and the expectation that I had of how she was going to grow and how I was going to help her develop, you know, and she couldn't wait to get a bike and ride it, and just everything a little 7-year-old girl wanted to do, you know. Sometimes it's like a dream. You know, I can't believe sometimes that it's happening to me. One of my strengths in all of this is the fact that I know it's out of my control, and I had to turn it over to God, you know. And that's all I can do, you know, because if there was anything else, I'd be doing it. I can't sit here in anger and hatred, you know, then, you know, that's my family suffers from that. I'm waiting for the day when she opens up that door and comes walking in here to me. I'm waiting to get that phone call saying, "Daddy, come and get me."
The U.S. Marshal's Office and the FBI have joined in the search for the missing girl. Authorities say Hobbs was last seen driving a white 1993 Toyota Paseo with an Oklahoma tag. Investigators believe finding the car will be the key to solving the case. There are several cases that local authorities are still investigating. In some cases, they turn to forensic science to find their answers. Clyde Snow is one of the world's leading forensic anthropologists. Snow has worked on numerous high-profile cases across the U.S. and the globe. The Oklahoman's Brian Painter and News OK's Kyle Roberts spoke to Snow about the science of reading bones.
Well, to me, forensic anthropology is the subfield of what we call physical anthropology. We physical anthropologists are the people who study fossil man, prehistoric man, and so on. Now, forensic anthropologists, we're trained as physical anthropologists in our university or academic careers, but we are the people who apply the knowledge that we acquire on man's skeletal remains to medical legal problems. And we try to put together what I call the osteobiography of that person, which is a very brief, usually brief, life history of that person that we can develop from the evidence preserved in the skeleton. Such things as age and gender and ethnicity, stature, whether you're right or left-handed, in females, even some idea of their gestational history, how many children they've had. It has to begin at the field, and it's painstakingly slow, but you have to trace out each skeleton and make sure that each of those bones, even the little bones of the hands and feet, stay with that particular skeleton. You know, the bones, you know, they always tell the truth if you listen to them. They don't really talk to us, thank God. I mean, if bones ever start talking to me, I'll turn in my suit. But they speak so softly. I always say we have to use our eyes to listen to them, because what we're looking at that skeleton, and we cannot afford to misinterpret what they tell us. The death of one person is a tragedy, but the death of millions is a statistic. In other words, focus on a victim and tell their story. Liliana Pareja, she was 21 years old, a very beautiful young woman, and she had been pregnant. Her boyfriend was disappeared at the same time she was, and she also was a good subject because there was another practice, in addition to just killing people, down there that was quite vicious. If they found that a woman was pregnant, they would keep her alive until she delivered the baby. And then after 2 or 3 days, they let her keep the baby to kind of stabilize it, nurse it. They'd come and take, in her case, 2 naval officers came and took her baby away. She was returned to the detention center, and later her head was blown off with what they call an Itaka down there. It's a shotgun, and we had to reconstruct her skull. And I could tell that she had had the child because of some changes that we see in the pelvic bones of women who have recently given birth. There's some remodeling of the bone. Never forget the victim. Remember that this is not just a pile, even though, like I say, we have to maintain our objectivity. I tell students that when we're dealing with a skeleton, we're actually dealing with the witness. They are the best witnesses we have of what happened to them.
And some of the cases Clyde Snow has worked on include the bombing of the Alfred P. Murrah Building, the 1979 American Airlines crash in Chicago, and the John Wayne Gacy murders. Now, on a lighter note, when we return, we meet a local musician who is making his mark in the pop music industry. But his musical roots were very different from the songs he is currently writing. How he made the transition from Christian music to pop music. Plus, a romantic recipe that is sure to please your special someone. Our friends Sean and Kathy Cummings teach you how to cook scallops to perfection. Coming up on News OK TV.
I look up to you for all the things you do. I hope to be like you someday soon. 'Cause I look
Working hard for every smile. Another reason why Cox is your friend in the digital age.
News OK has a new mobile website, and it works with any internet-enabled cell phone. So you can take News OK with you anywhere. View the full articles, look at the photos, all while munching on lunch. And something I'm interested in, videos. Now you can watch News OK videos no matter where you roam. Smartphones, choose News OK Mobile.
Updated look, easy navigation, videos, News OK Mobile. Dial into News OK's award-winning content, now on your web-enabled cell phone. News OK, Oklahoma's website.
I look up to you
working hard for every smile. Another reason why Cox is your friend in the digital age.
Well, welcome back to News OK TV. Jacob Abello is stealing the spotlight on this week's edition of Static. George Ling and Tanner Harriet met up with the Norman native at Blackwatch Studios. His latest album, Nothing But Gold, has received high praise in the pop music world. While he may have found success with this genre, Abello's beginnings were another area of the music world.
This episode of Static is brought to you by Red Dirt Brothers Guitars. This is Static. I'm George Lang. Jacob Abello started singing when he was a small child, and by his teens, he was writing and performing his own Christian music. Now a secular artist, he's writing perfect pop songs and working with producers Jared Evans and Chad Copeland at Norman's Blackwatch Studios. This is Jacob Abello.
I guess I started singing and stuff when I was pretty young, around 6 or 7, I guess is probably the first time I started singing in front of people. And then I was doing, I guess in high school, I had done a lot of Christian music, wrote and recorded some Christian music stuff, and then I kind of stopped for a few years, and then I kind of came back. I had the handful of songs that I started writing and brought them to Jared, who I'd worked with him in the past, and we just decided to record a record. I think it's actually really exciting, and also it's more challenging to write great records, because you have to, people are just downloading the song or whatever, on iTunes. So it really challenges you, I think, to write solid songs instead of just this record with these 3 songs that are really good, but people are going to buy the whole record because they have to. But I think for a long time the record companies had the power, and all these artists are just begging these record companies to sign them, and that's the only way you're going to be able to do this. And so there wasn't really that much of a market other than playing just in local bars and stuff to get your music out there, I think. Now, I mean, just in the past, I guess 10, 15 years, I'm not really sure how long it's been, but since the internet, you can find, everyone, just me growing up in high school, I spent, junior high and high school, when I got home from school, I got online, and I just researched bands that I wanted to listen to, and found all these different bands, and then they were coming through the state, so I think that has taken the power away from the record labels. You see these major record labels signing these artists that were already popular before they were on mainstream labels like Feist or Decemberists and stuff like that. I really enjoy pop music. I think it's kind of gotten a bad rap in the past, just because, especially actually since the internet has kind of, I don't know, it seems like there's so many more things and lots of really introspective things. Not to say my stuff isn't introspective at all, but just all these really deep things. And I think that I want people to know, I guess, that I just want, through my songs, really, there's deeper things there, but really I just want people to have a good time when they listen to them. I think that that's what I would hope. And whenever they come to the shows, I want them to just have a great time, and I think that's kind of the main thing I'm going for. It's just people to have fun. When I listen to music, that's what I want more than anything. I have all these artists, I love their songwriting, I love all this, but really, when it comes down to it, I really love pop music, and that's what I'm trying to do. So.
And you can listen to 4 of Abello's songs by heading to newsok.com. Now, from pop music to pop icons, Kyle Roberts and Matt Price explore the world of comics in their weekly video blog. This week, the duo discusses some big changes for DC Comics.
You're listening to a News OK podcast.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the News OK Comics podcast at Planet 46. We have got all kinds of stuff going on this week. Kyle, what do we got?
It's time for our Comic Surge, where we are going to talk about different news in the comics and what's going on this week.
The biggest comics news this week is new executives at DC Comics, and some of these guys you're going to have been familiar with. Jim Lee and Dan DiDio named co-publishers. Jeff Johns named Chief Creative Officer. Also 2 new promotions, new positions. John Root is named Executive Vice President of Sales, Marketing, and Business Development. Patrick Caldone named Executive Vice President of Finance Administration. The people that, of course, are going to get the most talk about them are the guys that have sort of the creative backgrounds in comics. Jim Lee, one of your favorites.
Yeah, and that's absolutely huge because he's done a lot of work for Marvel, DC, a lot of things, and so that's huge that DC basically picked him up.
Yeah, he's been working at the Wildstorm division of DC since he sold his Wildstorm company to them in, I think, 98. but this moves him up as a really high position in DC overall. Of course, a lot of you might know Jim Lee from his days on the X-Men, where he sold 8 million copies of X-Men #1 as the artist. He later co-founded Image and drew Wildcats for Image, sold his part of Image, the Wildstorm Studios, to DC in '98, and has since then drew the best-selling Batman Hush series, and also has been involved with developing the Sony Online video game featuring DC characters, and heading up Wildstorm. Now takes another step up the corporate ladder and becomes a co-publisher of DC Comics.
Very, very cool.
So those are some of the big announcements out of comics news this week. And as these things developed, it kind of gave us some other things, including some movie news.
Yeah.
MTV talked to Diane Nelson, the president of DC, about these announcements, and also said, hey, how about that Superman thing? Is that happening?
When's that going on?
The Christopher Nolan Superman? She said at this point that's all just rumor, but there will be more announcements in the coming months, and didn't really give them much of anything. They also asked about Watchmen 2. That's been talked about on the internet a lot lately. Is there going to be a Watchmen sequel, either in film or comics right now? She says, we're looking closely at our whole library. That's what she told MTV, but there are no plans right now. Right now, that's just a rumor as well. Other movie news, The Losers. We talked about this last week. They moved it from April to June. This week,
April again.
It's back in April. Now it's opening on April 23rd. So stick with us next week, and maybe it'll be another month. We don't know. What else do you know about this week, Kyle?
Stephen Norrington, the director of...
He did Blade originally and League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Going to do a reboot
of Crow.
Of Crow.
When the original Crow came out in 1994.
Right.
And so now Stephen Norrington is going to be attached to this project.
That's right. Alex Proyas directed the late Brandon Lee in that 94 project based on the graphic novel by James O'Barr. Norrington says this is kind of a new take.
Yeah.
So, different character.
Could be cool. Brian Michael Bendis is going to be attached to the new Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, he's met with those guys.
Mark Webb is the director. We've talked about that before. And I guess he met with all of them. He said on his Twitter account, just spent a very interesting morning with the entire Sony Spidey movie team. So I guess
cool.
I guess they want him involved with it. And that kind of allows us to assume this is the ultimate Spider-Man storyline.
Yeah, it could be based on that, or maybe they just want his take on making a young, modern Peter Parker, since that's what he did so well in Ultimate Spider-Man.
Absolutely.
All right, well, now let's dig into the review file.
Yep.
First, we'll mention there's a couple Fall of the Hulks tie-ins this week, and Incorruptible, Mark Waid from Boom Studios coming out this week. That's been worth a look. Now, Kyle, give us a little in-depth take. You read Uncanny X-Men 521. What happened there?
Uncanny X-Men. As you can see on the cover here, Magneto is kind of meditating. It starts off, he's basically meditating on the top of this hill. There's a lot going on in this issue, including they show us a new character in the Marvel storyline. But yeah, I'll let that kind of leave that to you guys to check it out. But there's a lot going on in this issue. This is my pick of the week.
Yeah, and then there is a little bit of a surprise for long-time X-Men readers at the very end.
Yep.
Supergirl 50 from DC Comics. This is written by Sterling Gates, drawn by Jamal Igle, backup story by Helen Slater, who played Supergirl in the 1980s movies. Mm-hmm. This wraps up a lot of things that have been going on in Supergirl up to now. What's going on with Lana Lang? What's happening with her relationship with Supergirl? What's happening with Superwoman? Moves a lot of that forward. I thought very exciting issues, kind of some throwback to Alien a little bit in some of the feeling of it, but very action-packed, but still got some character development in. I think this is the kind of issue a lot of people want to see out of Supergirl, which has, of course, been caught up in a lot of the new Krypton crossovers, which is fine, but I think a lot of the Supergirl fans like to see these issues where Supergirl herself can shine.
It seems like that's what this whole series has been. It's dialogue driven, but action driven as well. It has a huge mix of both of those.
Yeah, so my pick of the week, Supergirl 50.
Sweet. And mine's Uncanny X-Men 521.
That wraps up our review file and the comics podcast. So for Kyle Roberts, I am Matt Price. Thanks for watching.
You can catch Matt and Kyle's comic reviews every week on newsok.com or on our sister site, planet46.com. When we come back, our food experts have a little surf and turf on the menu, an easy and romantic recipe for seafood, plus a little something for steak lovers when we return.
News OK has a new mobile website, and it works with any internet-enabled cell phone. So you can take News OK with you anywhere. View the full articles, look at the photos, all while munching on lunch, and something I'm interested in, videos. Now you can watch News OK videos no matter where you roam. Smartphones, choose News OK Mobile.
Updated look, easy navigation, videos, News OK Mobile. Dial into News OK's award-winning content, now on your web-enabled cell phone. News OK, Oklahoma's website.
I look up to you for all the things you do. I hope to be like you someday soon. 'Cause I look
Working
up to
hard for every smile. Another reason why Cox is your friend in the digital age.
Well, thanks for sticking with News OK TV. Our friends at Buy for Less Gourmet Grill are cooking up a quick and easy romantic meal. This recipe is for guys who are looking to cook up something for the ladies. Sean and Kathy Cummings show you how to cook scallops with garlic butter sauce to perfection.
You want to do something really romantic for a lady and you're not really that good of a cook, Uncle Ben's has you covered. We got wild rice that we're going to use over here for our center of our plate.
Yes.
And then we're going to make scallops. Okay, scallops intimidate everybody, from cooks to chefs to everyone, because they cook in minutes and everybody overcooks them and ruins them. Kathy's going to make what's called a little flour base for this.
Yes.
About a tablespoon of Cajun seasoning. Cajun seasoning is always heavily salted.
Right.
So watch out. Don't overdo it. But all you got to do is mix this thing up just like fried chicken, and we're going to throw our scallops into this monster. In the meantime, our butter is boiling, okay? It's not so much that it's smoking and it's going to burn, but it's boiling. Okay. I'm going to get started. Now, this is the deal with scallops. 2 minutes per side at the absolute most, and I mean absolute most. It's okay if these things are a little, not necessarily raw in the middle, but not fully cooked in the middle. Because look, you can throw them in a microwave for 10 seconds. Don't worry about that kind of stuff. So, while these are cooking, I'm going to make a garlic butter eventually out of this whole thing. Let's start getting our plate set up. This is our lovely rice, and I'm telling you, you do this for any girl, she thinks you really went out for it. The deal is with women, they just want to know you're thinking about them. It isn't really the final result. I know that, and the many ex-wives will tell you. Yeah, I've learned it, I really have. Kathy is wonderful. I can't complain with her in the least bit. Okay, so all we're doing is flipping these over. Now, some places will go, hey, you caramelize the outside of these at a searing hot heat. If you want to burn your house down, go ahead and try that. But let's go ahead and do it the easy way today.
There you
go. All right, these scallops will be done in just a second. If you're doing these at home, literally 2 minutes. That's all you got to do.
That's it.
And we're going to go ahead and set these things up, and I'm going to teach you how to make a garlic butter. Now, you can cook them a little longer if you want to at home. Just don't kill them, please. That's all I'm concerned with. I really am. People ruin seafood terribly. Okay, so we have butter in here. Now we have garlic butter in here. Now we're going to have garlic parsley butter just by throwing parsley in there. Now what we want to do is we want to get our garlic out of here before it burns.
Doesn't burn.
But you can get the smell, and it's wonderful. And this is like what's called a brown butter. You just can't beat this stuff. A little bit over each one.
Now you could do that for a job.
I know, really. I'm thinking about doing a restaurant maybe someday. That is scallops and wild rice, 27 bucks at any restaurant. We just made it for about 8. For these recipes and more, buyforlessok.com.
Now, if seafood is not your thing, Becky Varner has another easy recipe that is sure to please your palate. She cooked up some pepper steak earlier this month. It's a meal you can set and forget. An easy winter treat you can cook in a crock pot.
We're using round steak.
Okay.
And round steak is very lean. And that's one of the things when we're working with a very lean meat, we want to use moisture while we're cooking, a moist heat cooking method, which is a slow cooker.
Okay.
And then in addition to that, it just tenderizes it when you're using low heat rather than a higher heat.
And it takes about 5 or 6 hours to complete, but the best part is dinner is ready when you come home. Let me tell you, it was tasty. And you can find the complete recipe in Becky's food column on newsok.com, along with several other dinner and healthy ideas. Now, coming up after the break, 2 pop icons meet up on the dance floor. What happens when these 2 figures enter a dance-off? Next on News OK TV.
Hello, this is Mary. I can help you.
Hi, my grandma wants to know how to record my show.
Press the guide button on the remote.
Abuelita, toca el botón guide.
Now find your show on the screen and press record.
Ahora busca el programa en la...
pantalla.
Working hard for every smile. Another reason why Cox is your friend in the digital age.
News OK, Oklahoma's website.
Dave, it is game time.
ANG News OK is covering OU and OSU football from all the angles.
With photos, videos, live chats, blogs, and text alerts.
From coaches, players, predictions, and analysis.
With the most sports reporters covering the games.
So you'll never miss a thing.
Stay with News OK for your team's latest news.
Powered by the Oklahoman. News OK, Oklahoma's website.
I look up to you for all the things you do. I hope to be like you someday soon. 'Cause I look
Working hard for every smile. Another reason why Cox is your friend in the digital age.
Well, welcome back to News OK TV. Our videographers have a lot of projects outside the office. They spend a lot of time doing freelance work or perfecting their skills in other areas. And for the past several months, video journalist Kyle Roberts has explored the world of stop motion. He has made several short films featuring some well-known characters, and we'd like to share one of those films with you right now. Check it out.
Wow.
And if you'd like to see what happens next to Wall-E and Michael Jackson, you can view the video on Kyle's site. The address is there at the bottom of your screen. Now, he tells me it took him about a month and a half to create the minute-and-a-half long movie. That's a lot of time. But that's all the time we have for you this week. Now, you can watch all of these videos and more online at newsok.com. And we'll be back next week with a fresh video lineup. See ya.